B'Shem Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach. Welcome everyone to our weekly Zera Shimshon shiur on the Parasha. This week's Parasha is Parashat Toledot. And we'll be doing Ot Aleph, the first ma'amar of the Zera Shimshon. We kind of might have touched upon this Zera Shimshon in the past, briefly, but we're going to go much deeper into it, hopefully, a little deeper, at least, hopefully tonight. In the Zechut of the Zera Shimshon, this shiur is also dedicated in the Leilui Nishmat Rav Shimshon Chaim ben Nachman Michael Nachmani, the Zera Shimshon. May his zechut and the guarantee that he gives in his hakdama come true for all of Am Yisrael, Yeshuot v'Nechamot, and those that need children, Hashem should grant them. Those that need a refuah shelema, Hashem should grant them. And those that need to get married, we should hear besorot tovot and good news from all of them. Amen keni ratzon. Should be also for the refuah shelema of Yehuda ben Afarin, and also Yosef ben Monavar, Michael Levi ben Dina, Yonatan Rafael ben Gladi Simcha, Revital Chaya bat Gladi Simcha, Ahaba Chaya bat Neda, David ben Zinat. And it should be for the release of all of the captives of Am Yisrael, especially. Okay. The Pasuk says in today's Parasha, in this week's Parasha, Pasuk says, Ve'ele Toledot Yitzchak ben Avraham. And these are the offsprings of Yitzchak, the son of Avraham. That's how the Parasha starts, by saying that these are the children of Yitzchak, the son of Avraham. Rashi, you want to hear something really interesting? On Monday, when I first, I was doing, not Monday, I think Shabbat, I was just looking over Parashat Toledot. I came to this pasuk. These are the offsprings of Yitzchak ben Avraham. And I always try to review Rashi. You always have to do Rashi all the time, right? And I look at Rashi and it says, and Rashi over there says, Ve'ele Toledot Yitzchak ben Avraham. And then Rashi says, it's talking about Yaakov and Esav. It's like such an obvious thing. Like, really? The Parsha is about to tell us that Yitzchak and Yaakov and Esav were twins in the womb of Yerukhaimenu. Like, what's Rashi telling us? So I was thinking, this is such a sharp question on Rashi, and I know there are Mefarshim that talk about it. I know we've talked about it before, right? And then I open the Zera Shimshon Ot Aleph, and this is the question that the Zera Shimshon, pow, right? Number one. So he says like this, Makshim. They ask, meaning there are others that ask also. Shedivri Rashi hem lelo tzorech. What Rashi is telling us is really superfluous, not needed. Shara katuv, because it's already written, machriz bechayil, meaning quite clearly, as it says, vehine tomim bevitnah, and Rivka had twins within her. Vayetze harishon admoni, the first one came out red. Vayigreu shemo Esav, and they called him Esav. And va'acharechen yatsa achiv, and next came his brother, and they called him Yaakov. So the Parsha is discussing the children of Yitzchak Avinu, right? So why do I need Rashi to tell me, when the Parsha starts with Ve'ele Toledot Yitzchak, these are the offsprings of Yitzchak, it's referring to Esav and Yaakov. Why are you even telling us? So he goes straight into trying to answer, but as you know, the answer sometimes could be long. So now you have to look at it from this point of view to see what the answer is. Shirashi hirgish, Rashi felt a question kind of. Shekevan degai malan, shekol magom shenemar ele, pasal et harishonim, because we have a general rule. You guys know the general rule of ele and ve'ele? We've discussed this before. Y'all remember this? The difference between ele and ve'ele, right? The general rule is, anytime a parsha starts with ele, these are, what is it? Pasalet harishonim, which means it's disconnecting what's coming from what was. That's why it says, these are. Meaning, what I'm about to tell you right now had nothing to do with what I told you before. New subject, everybody. New page. Okay? But when it says ve'ele, and these are, it's connecting to a previous chapter. That's why there is a vav, what we call vav hibur, a connecting vav. When it says and these are, meaning it's connected to something we spoke about before, just like in speech, and connects two sentences together, right? This is David and Moshe, David and Moshe. They're kind of coming together. Shalom. So here, however, here's what the Zera Shimshon is saying. Rashi's kind of having a difficult time with this, and he's just trying to answer this. Lefi says, so now. Oh, sorry, I skipped a page. I literally, I was jumping. Right. Okay. And anytime it says ve'ela, as we said, whenever we say and these are, it's mosif ala rishonim. It's adding on what we said before. Kan, however, here, our subject matter that we're discussing, harishonim, those discussed, meaning in the beginning, meaning last week. If we want to say ve'ela is connecting us to what we discussed before, what is this parsha of the children of Yitzchak? As it says, ve'ele. What is it connecting us to? Hem bnei Ishmael. That's the children of Ishmael. Because last week's parasha, in Parashat Hayasara, it ended off by naming all the children of Ishmael. Therefore, when this week's parasha says, ve'ele, Toledot Yitzchak, and these are the offsprings, the children of Yitzchak, the fact that it says ve'ele, it's connecting you to who? Connecting the children of Yitzchak to Ishmael and his children. Whoa. How you do that? Why? How you do that? Why? What did Ishmael have to do with Yitzchak? And, Ishmael and his children were not so, you don't want them connected with Yitzchak and his children. Right? Two different worlds. As the pasuk says over there, by the way, it says, Ve'ele Toledot Ishmael ben Abraham. It says over there, these are the children of Ishmael, the son of Abraham. And then this week's parasha goes into Ve'ele Toledot Yitzchak, and it's connecting them with the word Ve'ele. Ve'od, further, you could say, the Ramar pasuk Ve'ele Toledot Yitzchak ben Abraham, that the pasuk says, these are the children of Yitzchak ben Abraham, right? Vechi ad kan lo shamanu sheYitzchak ben Abraham. Do I need to know again that Yitzchak was the son of Abraham? It says, and these are the children of Yitzchak ben Abraham, the son of Abraham. Just tell me, these are the children of Yitzchak. I already know Yitzchak is Abraham's son. The whole last week, in the previous week, we were talking about them. Akedat Yitzchak and the 10 tests of Abraham. He had to bring his son Yitzchak for the Akedah. And we know that Yitzchak was Abraham's son. That is already a given. So why in this parsha, when it's trying to tell us the children of Yitzchak, are we saying again, and these are the children of Yitzchak? Who's Yitzchak? The son of Abraham. Do we know another Yitzchak? Not at least here. So why are we saying Yitzchak ben Abraham again?
You asking for an answer, or are you going to give us an answer?
No. Not asking for an answer. I'm going to give you an answer. Thanks for asking. So therefore, imken hayalo livsokan lomar, the pasuk should have really said over here, ele toledot Yitzchak. These are the children of Yitzchak, and that's it. And right afterwards, it should have said the children of Yitzchak. I don't need to know Yitzchak ben Abraham, the son of Abraham. So, everybody clear on those two questions so far? Number one, why ve'ele? And number two is, why do I need to know Yitzchak ben Abraham? Just tell me Yitzchak. We already know who it is. Elavadai, therefore, must be, we have to say, that the Torah says ben Abraham, Yitzchak, the son of Abraham, lashmi'enu, to teach us something. The children of Yitzchak Avinu, Shatoladot Shelo, his offsprings, meaning the offsprings of Yitzchak, Ben mitzetzai Yaakov, uven mitzetzai Esav, meaning whether they came from Yaakov Avinu, or they came from Esav, the evil twin, Hayu tzadikim kemoto shel Hayu kemoto shel Avraham. They were as righteous as Avraham. We're answering the second question first. Second question is, why does it say Yitzchak ben Avraham? So he's answering, it must be that we're trying to say that whether it was children from Yaakov Avinu that were born, or children that were born later from Esav, his twin evil brother, were as great as Avraham Avinu. That's why it says, these are the children of Yitzchak. Who Yitzchak? Ben Avraham. Why Ben Avraham? Because when Yitzchak had Yaakov Avinu and his evil twin Esav, the Torah wants you to know that there were tzaddikim that came later on that were also connected to Esav. Just as righteous as Avraham, his grandfather. That's why it says, Yitzchak who? Yitzchak ben Avraham, the son of Avraham. Why are you connecting Yitzchak to Avraham again? To tell you that Yitzchak that had children, and these twins, one of them was evil, the other one was a tzaddik, don't think that it's over. Even the one that was not such a tzaddik, even he has connections to whom? Avraham Avinu. And he has tzaddikim coming from him. Just like him. Because of those children that Yitzchak Avinu gave birth to, so to speak, brought into this world, who was the son of Avraham, this is very, very important, very deep. So listen closely. Matzah hakedusha makom lehotzi. The holiness, the nitzotzot of kedusha, the sparks of kedusha, found a place to come out from. Hanitzotzot shela mitoch hakelipa. You guys remember we spoke about klipot, right? The literal term of a klipa is a peel, like a peel of an orange, is the klipa. But in mystical terms, when you talk about klipot, a klipa is basically negativity that surrounds something very, very holy. It's called a klipa. Something that is extremely holy is extremely susceptible to negativity, negative energies, let's call them. And that's tum'ah, impurities. Those are called the klipot. When something's extremely holy, it is susceptible to klipot. They attach themselves to it. And they become like a peel surrounding this kedusha. Okay? So it says, because, so he's basically intrinsically saying what? The fact that Esav was born from Rivka Imenu with Yaakov, don't think that it was a complete lost cause. No. Esav was a conduit to bring back lost nitzotzot of Kedusha, lost holy sparks, through a kalipa. Him being the kalipa himself, that negative energy. But through him, those Kedushot were saved. They were able to come out. What were those nitzotzot of Kedusha? Those holy sparks were holy sparks that were lost in the time of Adam HaRishon when he ate from the tree. When Adam HaRishon did the first sin, nitzotzot of Kedusha, we discussed this before, remember? These holy sparks got lost. They got scattered all over the world. In different locations, different people, different nations. It was just completely scattered. And it was our job, our nation, to collect them. To bring them back to their original source, which is the Kedusha. Right? To original soul, so to speak. And Esav became the conduit to be able to do that. As it says, he says later on, as it is explained, which was in Ot Gimel, another ma'amar that he does in the third ma'amar. When he talks about when there was a fight between Esav and Yaakov inside Rivka Imenu's womb, that fight was the fight for that glorious, holy war. And then, so, like as an example, what are we talking about? These nitzotzot, these holy sparks that were within Esav, that Esav became the conduit to bring them out. Like for instance, Rashi himself, by the way, Rashi himself gives us two prime examples, right? When it says, Rivka Imenu, it says, Vaitrotzetsu abanim meghirba. The children within her were fighting, or they were moving too much. And she was confused. She didn't know what was going on. What is going on? Why? What's happening? First of all, she didn't know they were twins, right? We're not going to go into the whole thing of why it was confusing for her, right? But then she goes to the yeshiva of Shem Ba'ever, and there were Nevi'im. They had Nevu'ah. And what does he say to her? The Parasha says, Sheneh goyim bevitnech. There are two nations within you. That's what he says. It says Hashem answered her, meaning it came from a nevuah, from prophecy. There are two nations within you. Ul'om mil'om ye'ematz. And each one's going to become a great nation of their own. And Rashi indicates something here. If you read in the Parasha, the word goyim is not written the way it's supposed to be written. The word goyim as gimel sofi, which can be read geim. It's two yuds. That's not how you write goyim, nations. However, the kri, which the way we read it in the Torah, there are words that are written one way and we read it another way. It's right, it's written in the Torah geim, we read it goyim. However, the fact that it's written one way also has a message. Why was it written geim? So Rashi over there says, the reason it was written geim, because geim means what? Greats. Comes from the word like gaon, right? The greats. So Rashi says that in the yeshiva of Shem Va'ever, what did they tell Rivka Imenu? Don't worry, there are two greats that will be the outcome of these two children. Two people that will change history forever. Rashi says, who are those people that was prophesied to Rivka Imenu? One was from Yaakov Avinu, who was Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, right? He was the he was the one who wrote the Mishnah, right? The Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi in the time of the Second Temple, right? And he was unbelievable. And the second one that came from Esav, we said Shenei Geim, two greats from these two, Yaakov and Esav. The second one was who? Antoninos, who was a Roman emperor, right? Which converted through Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi, and he himself was a great, wise person. He was an unbelievable Gaon in his own right, and he converts, and there's a lot of different discussions between Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi and Antoninos, right? So Rashi says that the Torah was telling Rivka Imenu, don't worry. Right now it might be crazy. Right now it's kind of nuts to feel one of the children is going to be one way, the other one is going to be the other way, but don't worry. There's a reason for it. But at the end of the day, he's going to be a conduit for these nitzotzot of Kedusha that are going to be such amazing people. Like who? Like Antoninos. Antoninos is going to come from Esav. It's going to be worth it. Even Esav is going to give out such great scholars in time. Even he. Who else? There were a lot of converts that came from the tribe of Esav. Right? Some of which that you've heard the names of, we've all heard, but and we never thought, that they came from converts. Rabbi Meir Baal Hanes was from converts, from children of Esav.
Isn't he technically Jewish? You can't convert out of Judaism.
Who?
Esau.
No, Esav is not technically Jewish.
Because didn't the whole concept of being a Jew, where did that come from?
From receiving the Torah at Har Sinai.
Right.
So
Right?
Benjamin wasn't Jewish.
Well,
No.
Abraham, Yitzhak, Yaakov, you wouldn't call them like.
You wouldn't call them Jewish.
So were they Israelites?
Hebrews, Ivri,
Right.
right? And they were God worshipping people, right? But they were not. You can't call them yet Jewish because the Torah wasn't given yet, right? So when the Torah was given, it was given to the 12 tribes, and the 12 tribes were the tribes that came from Yaakov Avinu, not from Esav, not from anybody else.
Right.
You understand?
This Parasha it says that God tells Yaakov that Abraham were more tied something in Torah. That Abraham was following the Torah that he gave him.
Well, the Torah wasn't given yet. Over there, it's talking about the ordinances of God. And yes, at the time, Avraham Avinu, that's what he was doing. He was worshiping Hashem and His laws. But no one had received the Torah yet. Right? The Torah wasn't given yet. That doesn't mean that they were not following the rules of the Torah. That we've discussed before. Avraham Avinu ate matzah on Pesach. That's what he gave to the Malachim. Right? So we're not getting there. We're not going there. So he says, oh, and by the way, the pasuk ushne le'omim mima'ayich yiparedu, two nations are going to divide or come from you. The pasuk says to Rivka Imenu that there's going to be two separate nations. The gematria of ushne le'omim mima'ayich yiparedu is tzadikim mitgayerim, righteous converts. Right? It's the same gematria as righteous converts that will come, that are going to be from the seed of Esav. Shemaiah, Avtalion, Rabbi Meir, these were all children of converts. And many other converts also came from the children, the seed of Esav. Therefore, Esav here was really a conduit to bring these nitzotzot of Kedusha out. That's why he says, the pasuk says, Ve'ele Toledot Yitzchak ben Avraham. Why does it say ben Avraham? Because the pasuk is trying to tell us, I'm connecting it to Avraham because even Esav that's going to come from Yitzchak, right? Even he has a connection to Avraham, just like Avraham was righteous, he's going to have children that are going to be righteous. Therefore, it's still connected to Avraham. That's why the Parasha says, Ele Toledot Yitzchak ben Avraham. Connecting them to Abraham. Mata, therefore, now that we know that even from Esav came tzaddikim, Shapir mikroshenehem, both of them turn out good. Now it fits well. Yaakov and Esav. Toledot shel Yitzchak ben Avraham. These were the children of Yitzchak, the son of Abraham. Shah Toledot sheyavo machmat ibura shel Rivka. These children that came from the pregnancy of Rivka. Dainu hashene goyim shayu bebitnat. These two nations within her. Yihyu kemoto shel Avraham. Will be just like Avraham. Meaning, don't think just because Esav went totally the opposite direction that it's a complete lost cause. Esav had his purpose as well. He's going to bring into the world people that are going to be just like Avraham. That's that. Umikol makom says, however, the pasuk still says ve'ele. Remember, that was our first question. It says ve'ele with a vav chibur, connecting it to last week's parasha, which was the children of Ishmael. What does it have to do with the children of Ishmael, right? To add to what we said before, the last parsha, the children of Ishmael. Why? Because on the other hand also, even from Yaakov you had wicked people come out. Just like we had great people come from Esav, we also had wicked people and bad people come from Yaakov. Therefore he says, the Vav Chibur ve'ele Toledot Yitzchak ben Avraham, but it says ve'ele, connecting to the children of Ishmael, which went astray the wrong direction. Why? The Torah is telling us, even Yaakov that was great, Yaakov Avinu, he even had children that unfortunately were not so. And that's the Vav Chibur, he says. That's the connecting Vav to the children of Ishmael in last week's parasha. Keditnan, as it says, ve'elu, these are from the children of Israel, she'en lahem chelek la'olam haba. These, the Mishnah says, these are, in Sanhedrin, it says, these are those of the Jews, she'en lahem chelek la'olam haba, that they have no olam haba even. They don't even deserve a world to come, because they were so wicked. Like who? Well, it lists some things over there. It says, someone, like the Mishnah says over there, Ha'omer en techiyat hametim min Torah, someone that says there is no resurrection of the dead from the Torah. somebody says, truly, they don't believe in Techiyat HaMetim, according to the Mishnah, they have no Olam Haba. Someone truly says, what is this? People coming back from the dead and Mashiach. Hashem says, cool. No problem there. If you don't believe it, it must not be true. Right? So Hashem's going to be like, you said it, not me.
Yeah.
Right?
So what is the sentence called Yisrael Yesh Lahem Chelek L'Olam Haba?
So this Sanhedrin actually is talking about that. So he's basically saying, but there are exceptions to Zarul.
Can it be undone?
Again, by the way, I have to mention this. I always have to say this. Whenever we say, like for instance, an apikoros, a heretic that doesn't believe in Techiyat HaMetim, right? We're actually talking about someone that's actually intelligent. Right? If someone just be like, what are you talking about? It's child's play. You know what I mean? If it's someone that's actually intelligent and knows the Torah and knows the mitzvot and still says, no, okay, then he's taking credit away from himself. Someone that's completely lost, he's just upset with everything. He's just like, I don't. It's like, he's just, you know what I mean? It's just childish. It's child's play.
So there's exceptions to that.
Right. I explained what an apikoros is last time. Remember heretic, the story about the guy who wanted to be a heretic and he asked the Rebbe, I want to be an apikoros. I want to be a kofer, ba'ikar, I don't want to believe anything. He says, okay, so if you want, you have to learn how to be, you have to go to so-and-so's house to learn how to be a kofer. I said this, I think it was literally last week. You guys are looking at me like I'm foreign.
This is the third time.
This is the third time. At least someone's listening to me. Some of you are like looking at me like, who is this guy? Have I been here before? Anyway, I'm not saying it again. So one of them is someone that doesn't say that disagrees with Techiyat HaMetim, or someone that says Ein Torah min hashamayim, that the Torah is not from heaven. Somebody that says that the Torah was written by man and it was just people just sat down, they were bored, just wrote a bunch of stuff down. They don't have a chelek olam haba. Va'apikoros, and someone that doesn't believe in anything. And over there, the Mishnah also counts certain people that don't have a chelek olam haba. One second, I'll tell you right now. Yerovam, Achav, Menashe. These are the people that are named as those that do not have a chelek l'olam haba. So it says, Ve'od, shegam Esav hayahu atzmo rasha. And Esav himself was also a rasha. V'domeh livnei Ishmael. So he was very much alike to the children of Ishmael. V'shayach lomar. So therefore you could say that it's Mosif al Rishonim, it's adding to what we said before. So he's saying because Esav himself was wicked, therefore it says, Ve'ele Toledot Yitzchak ben Avraham. It says, Ve'ele, these are the children of Yitzchak, the son of Avraham. Why the Ve'ele? Why are you connecting him to the children of Ishmael? Because Esav was going to be one of them. He's wicked. So in that sense, there is a Vav Chibur. He is connected to the children of Ishmael. Just like Ishmael had children that were wicked, so did Yitzchak have children that were wicked, and that's Esav. And on top of that, there are children that came from Yaakov Avinu also that were wicked and had no chelek l'olam haba. Therefore, because there is the good and bad in both of them, it's connected to last week's parsha as well. And we know, according to last week's parsha, we know Ishmael himself, he did teshuvah. Right? Ishmael did a full 180. That's why the Torah mentions as well, he mentions Ishmael also in a good light. Because even though in his life he didn't do too well, but at certain point, Ishmael also did teshuvah. That just goes to show you, when you have a father like Avraham Avinu, might take you so far to be bad, but you can't be that bad. Right? So Ishmael also did teshuvah. So it says, Bechara Pasuk, so I just want to add on to this. an interesting thing. You know, I heard from Rav Rosenblum, beautiful drasha. It should be for Refuah Shalom of his wife, Bezrat Hashem. He brought down from the Shem Yishmuel. The Shem Yishmuel is a commentary, and he says beautifully. He says, look in history, right? There's a lot of great things that come in Judaism, but they come in very dark colors. What do I mean by that? You know, look at the whole story of King David, for instance. Right? The story of King David is so shady. There's so many shady parts in the whole story, life story of King David from the beginning. First, they thought he was a bastard child. Right? He was the sheep, and it was like no one even knew what he was. What is this kid? Then he becomes the king. Even when he becomes king, people don't agree with him. Right? And then the wife that he has with which to plant the seeds of the next kingship of Am Yisrael, which later on becomes Moshiach, is which wife? It's the wife that also has some shady business in it. You know, she was someone else's wife first, and then he divorced her because he had to go to the war. But it's a little shady, right? You kind of like keep looking at her like, what's going on, right? And then you keep looking back and forth. And even that, if you go even further back, like the lineage of Moshiach, where does it come from? Lot's daughters. Right? Lot's daughters tricking their own father to have children with him because they thought that the entire world was destroyed. When Sodom was destroyed, they thought the entire world was destroyed. You know, when there's no internet and everything around you get destroyed, you pretty much think that that's all, right? There's no news from the outside. So they really didn't know, and they became impregnated by their own father, right? And then later on, Tamar is born from that. She was, you know, and then the children of Yehuda, right, become the father of what? The Davidic dynasty comes from what? Yehuda and Tamar. Another shady business.
So what dynasty?
Davidic. David. King David's dynasty.
What's going on with all this shadiness?
Right? So you like think to yourself, like, hold on a second, like if you look through back in history all the way, you're like, it's kind of like, whoa, what's going on? And then Yaakov Avinu, the father of all the Shevatim. The father, finally, you know, it wasn't Abraham Avinu, it wasn't Yitzchak Avinu. Yaakov Avinu is going to be the father of all the tribes.
4 wives.
Right?
Yeah.
Forget the 4 wives.
Sisters.
He's born with an evil twin.
Oh, yeah.
Listen to what the Shem Yishmuel says. The Shem Yishmuel says the same thing here. Here's the answer to all of it. When we said in the beginning, when there's something that has immense amount of kedusha, klipot attack it. It's a magnet for negativity. So HaKadosh Baruch Hu has to put it in this world, into the physical world, but kind of like cover it up with stuff, literally, klipot. Cover it up a little bit, you know, like, oh, it's dirty. It's not a diamond, it's just a rock. Right? Leave it alone. It's not what you think. To just kind of like pass it, for it to survive, or else the klipot will bring it down. That's why the Davidic dynasty, Moshiach, had to be that way. Because it's so perfection. It's too perfect. And if it's just left alone, it will not survive. It can't. Therefore, the Shem Yishmuel says, Yaakov Avinu had to be with an evil twin. The evil twin was the cover-up. Why? Because it would have been Yaakov Avinu alone, the Sitra Achra would have not even let it be born. It would have been a stillborn. Listen to what the Shem Yishmuel says. Shem Yishmuel says, if Yaakov Avinu was an only child, it would have died in the womb. The Satan would have not allowed it to live. Because there was so much Kedusha that would come into the world with Yaakov Avinu, it cannot survive. It would have done everything in its power to make it a stillborn. Therefore, what happens? HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, it'll be born with an evil twin. Now listen to this. Shem Yishmuel says, with that, the Satan says, oh, okay. if it's with Esav, it's not going to survive. I don't have to deal with it. Esav will either kill it in the womb, or it'll have bad influences once they're born. It's over. I don't have to do the job. And he even adds, very mind-boggling interesting. Says the Satan, you might ask, the Satan could just kill one of them. Just kill Yaakov, right? And still, just Esav would be born. Why wouldn't it just kill Yaakov? Oh, wow. This is powerful. I love this. He says, only HaKadosh Baruch Hu has the koach within one section to pick which dies, which lives. And that's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu did by Yetziat Mitzrayim. In one home, only the Bechor would die at the last plague. That's a power that only HaKadosh Baruch Hu has. That's why on Pesach we say what? HaKadosh Baruch Hu came by himself. Makat Bechorot was done by Hashem. The Malachim don't have permission to pick and choose between two. I don't even understand how that works. Right? But he says over here, when Yaakov Avinu was with Esav, it would be either both of them had to die, or none of them. And the Sitra Achra basically said, you know what? If it's with Esav, it's as good as dead anyway. We'll leave him alone. That was the Kedusha of Yaakov Avinu. That's why it had to be with Esav. This goes perfect with what we're saying tonight in the Zera Shimshon. The Zera Shimshon was also saying what? That there was so much Kedusha that needed to come. These nitzotzot that were scattered. And even Esav himself had nitzotzot of Kedusha that needed to come into the world. Therefore, it says, Ve'ele Toledot Yitzchak ben Avraham. Just like Avraham was righteous, so too Esav would have children as righteous as Avraham Avinu. Why do they have to come from Esav? Esav had to be the conduit. He had to be the klipa. He had to hide these Kedushot. Antoninos was unbelievable. Imagine. Do you know how much Torah Rabbi Yehuda Nasi learned with Antoninos? Do you know how much Torah we have because of the arguments between the two? A Roman emperor? It's incredible. There's so many stories that come out of their friendships of Antoninos and Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. It's just, it's crazy. But that goes perfect with the Zera Shimshon. Esav also had these nitzotzot of Kedusha that we had to gather. Therefore, it had to be within Esav to bring these out. Without Esav, it could not have been done, according to the Zera Shimshon. Therefore, he needed to be the conduit to bring these out. So we have these Gedolim. Can you imagine a world without Rabbi Meir Ba'al Hanes? You know, the Gemara says, anytime there is an opinion in the Gemara without a name, most of the time it's Rabbi Meir. You know what that means? You know how much Torah we have from Rabbi Meir Ba'al Hanes? And he was the outcome of Gerim, of converts. From Romans and Esav. Out comes Rabbi Meir Ba'al Hanes. It's crazy. You know there were Roman emperors themselves that converted? Even before Antoninos. Nero. Right. Nero also converted. Right? We have so many different... It says that the children and great-great-great-great-grandchildren of Haman learn in Kolalim. Haman! You know? Haman, the great evil enemy of Am Yisrael from Amalek, he has tzetzai, sitting in Kolalim and learning Torah. So Esav was not 100% lost cause. Hashem knows what he's doing. Right? But however, at the same time, it says ve'ele, connecting it with a vav, saying even Yaakov, unfortunately, even in the nation of Am Yisrael, we had people that were not so great. So we also have certain things that we're not so proud of, certain kings that we're not so proud of. But isn't that interesting how this concept of HaKadosh Baruch Hu hiding those kedushot, those things that are extremely holy, in order for them to not become, susceptible too much to tum'ah, like Boaz and Ruth. Ruth HaMoaviyah. Boaz, it says in tradition, Boaz was like 400 years old. Ruth was a young woman. And it says, right after Boaz and Ruth got married, Boaz dies. He was just there to plant the seed of Moshiach. It's literally like, Hashem literally like manipulating history in order for the seed of Moshiach to be born a certain way where it's covered from Ain Hara, so to speak. That's what it is.
Yeah, that's what
Right? It just cover it up so it's not so like, you know what I mean? Why do you think like, like I think this is maybe where it comes from, where some people have the minhag that when they get a new car, they put egg under the wheel. You know what I mean? I think what they should do is just egg the car instead. And just put some egg on the windshields and just drive. Because everyone looks at the new car and goes, "Ay, look at that, it's like egg on it." They won't even notice the new car. You know, that's what, it's a perfect example of klipa. Eggshells. Huh? Covering it up. Baruch Adonai le'olam, amen ve'amen.